Welcome to the Predictive Playbook. I'm your host, John Ryan, and I'm telling you what, before I introduce Tony Finn and Rob Veno, I am staring right now at the 13th hole at the TPC Saw Grass, where they have a Players' Championship and probably my favorite course in all the world. And I'll tell you what else feels good is that in 14 months, actually it's probably more like 16 months, this is the first time that I've left the community that I live in. And to get on a jet, and even though everybody's wearing masks and it was crowded to get through security, but you just relax and get through it. It was cool. So I'm glad to be here doing this with you guys, and just the little things in life that you take for granted. Like we all take jet planes to go on vacations and wherever, and for that long a period of time. You all of a sudden think, wow, this is pretty neat. So I think we're heading in the right direction. So as a result, I haven't looked at too many things, but I did have a play on Denver in the NBA tonight. I like them quite a bit, and they're backed by 69%. NBA angle of the day, which much to my disappointment, I wasn't able to get it on because I was traveling, but I guess that's okay.
Yeah.
But Tony and Rob, how you guys doing?
Robbie?
Yeah, I'm good, guys. I was just telling you off air that my wife actually stumbled upon a opening for the coronavirus vaccine. So I got that today. I didn't think I was going to get it for a while. John, we both live in the same state where it's, we're at the bottom of the barrel as far as distribution of this thing has been concerned. Other states seem to be able to vaccinate 16-year-olds, and 60-year-olds can't get vaccinated here. But we did stumbled upon it. Fibbed just a hair to get in there, but that's all right. Once I got there, they didn't ask any questions. So I'm glad. I'm glad to have that vaccine shot now. The one I had was the one-shot deal, right? Johnson & Johnson. So I don't have to go back for a second part. And so like you were just saying, able to travel. I think that in the near future, I'll be able to once again travel. Been cooped up just like everybody else, and it will feel good to get on a plane and go see Tony Finn.
Do you need
for a happy hour in Las Vegas?
Do you have to have a certificate that you've been vaccinated to travel?
No.
I was going to say because I can get a fake one. I can get a fake one. I can do it.
But I hear there's states in the United States that are actually they classify A1, B, and then there's like the bottom of the barrel is called collateral damage. Is that true?
I'm in that folder. I'm
is
in
that
there
really
because
true?
No, I don't think it's true, but it might as well be true because my son has already got his vaccination. My wife told me, see, we got home invaded and they took my passport, my wallet, and all that stuff, and I've been trying to get an appointment to get my driver's license. But right now it's a 4-month wait to get into DMV here. So my wife said, well, you can't get it till you get your driver's license. I have an appointment, I think, coming up here someday, real quick. Hopefully I don't miss it. And I said, if I just go up there and I speak Spanish or I speak some Russian, they'll give me a shot.
There you go.
I'll tell them. No hablo? No ID. No.
You might not have to do that. A lit cigarette, I understand, can work while you're in line.
Really?
For the vaccine, not to get on a plane, to get the vaccine.
That's all it takes. Man, that's like a party then.
I'm hearing this like 10th hand, so it may not even be true. Yeah,
well, I'm certain it's more reliable than the intel I'm getting on my picks. So we'll get them.
Not mushrooms, Tony. A lit cigarette.
Not lit cigarette. Is that a real? Is that like a pre-roll, a left-handed cigarette? What kind of cigarette is that?
That's ski.
Oh yeah. Well then, yeah. There you go. That's how you got. The ski's only like 15.
Yeah.
Then he must have got the vaccine 3 months ago.
Well,
so what do we got for games, guys? What do we got for ideas here?
I don't leave the house, so we're okay.
Well, I started with the NBA with the Denver Nuggets. So that is a play that is, since we didn't have the NBA angle of the day, because I was playing around on a jet and didn't have time to get it in there on time, we can do it here. So you're going to bet on home teams that are on a 5 or more game win streak. So that means they're they're hot.
Mhm.
The home team has a win percentage of at least 60% on the season. That means they're a pretty damn good team. And now they're facing an opponent that lost to them in the last meeting. And the opponent has a losing record, 37-17 against the number for 69% winning bets over the last 10 seasons. Bet on the Denver Nuggets minus the points of the San Antonio Spurs. Pretty simple. You
Yeah,
guys
well,
agree?
Understood that one.
I not only do I agree, if you look at the box score from that last game 2 nights ago,
Yeah.
you'll find that the Nuggets won by 10. Did it really fairly easy. None of the guys, Jokic only played 29, 30 minutes, 25 points, almost a triple double. He was, I think he had 9 rebounds and 10 assists. So you're talking about 25, 10, 9. That's there's nobody on this 4-guard offense for Denver that probably has strong enough arm to throw banana peels in the lane to try to stop the big guy. So if they want, I think if Jokic wanted to, it could be one of those. This could be one of those nights he's 30, 10, and 10 or more easily. And at this point in time, the Spurs don't have a big man, not a true big. They don't have in truth, they don't have a true point guard, and they're playing 4 guards on the at the perimeter. There you go. 6'6", I think, is the tallest starter outside of the center.
Pirtle.
Yeah, exactly right.
And
Correct.
the backup, Jeng won't play tonight. So you're looking at a bench that consists of more swingmen, right, Tom?
Yeah.
Patty Mills, Devin Vessel, Eubanks, West Virginia kid.
Yeah.
So it really is for San Antonio. It's small ball.
Yeah, with
and ability. Look at the Denver front. I mean, the Denver front line: Michael Porter Jr.,
yes,
Aaron Gordon, and
Yes.
Jokic. They're all 6'11", all 3 of them.
Yep.
So it's a really big mismatch at the point of attack. Jamal Murray did not play the other night. We don't know his status here for tonight. Questionable, but as Tony mentioned, they won by 10 without Jamal Murray. Didn't even necessarily play great, to tell you the truth.
They did not play great. No, you're right. They didn't. In truth, their numbers across the board, as far as the surface numbers, statistically, field goal, 3-point, free throw, all fairly equal. Here's, as you just mentioned, Rob, they out rebounded them by 10, and surprisingly, they both had about the same offense. San Antonio had just as many second chance points as Denver, and the problem is they couldn't convert on those opportunities either. So,
well, and that game, guys, if I just switch it to the total quick, I like over 220 myself. Denver, a team, as we just mentioned, didn't shoot very well in that contest. They could certainly shoot a lot better than what they did.
Yeah.
They scored 106 without shooting well. I could see them getting to 120 by themselves alone here in this one, because San Antonio's been giving up those type of numbers defensively anyway.
They have been.
And the Spurs, for what it's worth, they stay in these games somewhat with as we mentioned, a shooting offense led by their guards. So the fact that they shot 6 of 24 from 3 the other night, I think will probably improve a little bit here. It doesn't take much. 202 the other night. I think they landed on 106-96 with very, very poor offensive play.
Yeah.
You get
I agree.
more points tonight. I think that's a pretty good play over 220. So that's a direction I would go as well, John.
The Spurs, they just don't have a quality bench either. Now, with the injuries they have, if you put any value or any weight, Rob, on plus minus, you can just look at the bench. You had Patty Mills was minus 29 in 25 minutes of play, which is, and I don't put a ton of value on plus minus, but it speaks to specific variables and certain matchups and basically floor lineups, which I put some value on. I do some lineup or at least lineup matchups, and in this situation, as you spoke to Rob, it's not close. It's really not close. If all things being equal, and these two played to their season numbers, Denver wins by 20.
Yeah, it's a good ball. They've been hot since Aaron Gordon got over there. It looks like they're trying to get themselves into playoff form right now, and they could be allowed. They were forced to be reckoned with last year. Made it to the Western Conference final, right?
Yeah,
against the
they
Lakers,
they hit their stride at the right time. It's always if you peak, that's the thing. Everybody's speaking to Utah right now. They've peaked far too early. I don't. You're as good as your last game. So I don't care if you won 20 straight. You're only as good as your last. We're only as good as our last night, our pick, our play, and other than that, nobody wants to hear about it. Neither do I, and neither does Denver.
Tony, I like what you said about the plus minus because I mentioned that with the Sixers the other night, and that's what I was trying to point out. It wasn't an individual performance or a negative one for the other team.
Yeah.
It was the fact that all the starters were double-digit plus,
right?
And that doesn't occur all that often, and that's a sign of, in my opinion, it's a sign of good chemistry and ball movement and sharing the ball and just trying to get the ball in the hoop.
Yeah, and it speaks. Listen, I also there's some defensive variables that come in those as well, obviously, right? And there are just certain lineups that they're just not. The benches are just. I think that it goes. We could talk about it for hours. I think Dallas, for instance, the fact that they let Curry go was. They did. That's not what they needed to do. They wanted to become more defensive. Well, they haven't been really. In truth, there's times they have their 15-minute moments, but. Look what they did. They picked up Redick, who has yet to play, right? He's yet to play, and he's supposed to be that guy that can come off the bench and at least keep them competitive while they got Doncic on the bench, and other scores. So we'll see. I think they're done. I think they're toast personally. And if you're a Dallas fan, I apologize, but I just don't see them going very far in the West at all.
I don't either.
No,
I agree 100%.
John, let me put you on this because we love to get your thoughts. So I'll play host here for 5 seconds on
good.
Okay.
The 76ers New Orleans game. Now, real quick here, guys, I'll get on my soapbox first and then turn it over. But I was on Twitter the other night, and I just can't help myself. I probably shouldn't get there, but I can't help myself because if I hear Stan Van Gundy one more time talk about how bad his defense is, it's so old at this point in time. He the other night I'm watching him march up and down the sidelines, and for a second I thought it was Danny DeVito. I'm like, this guy looks a lot like Danny DeVito. They're not. They listen to him about as much as they would listen to Danny DeVito.
Danny's taller, I think.
Yeah, he might be. Give Zion a ton of credit because Zion Williamson plays hard every single night. He's frustrated when things go bad. He wants things to go good. But that team is not a defensive-oriented ball club. Tonight they take on the Sixers. I saw 228 before we came on the air here. I think 116 for a first-half total. Philly was a 6.5-point favorite. Still don't know about Brandon Ingram. But I would think at this point in time, maybe he would try to give it a go tonight. We'll see. Zion's in. Lonzo must have gotten hurt last game because I see him show up as questionable, even though he played the other night in that defensive disaster against the Brooklyn Nets. But real quick, John, you back with your Ben Simmons triple-double, or what do you think about the hometown Sixers tonight?
Well, I think the Sixers are playing in New Orleans, right?
Right. Stan Van Gundy's hot defense.
Yeah. Oh, I get what you were saying. I actually thought that I almost said that like sometimes our good friend Teddy Covers says it, correcting somebody. I didn't mean it that way. But you meant the hometown Sixers like my team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I
that's because I'm sitting here too, 30 minutes away from the arena, Wells Fargo.
Yeah.
So
So I like the Sixers tonight. And it's not because I'm a homer or anything like that. They're just a better team. They have it's not even a monumentally better head coach. I don't know how you compare Doc Rivers to Danny DeVito. I don't.
We've renamed them.
Yeah, I think we have. I think it's a good choice because I think I could get that team to listen to us three better than what's going on there. But Zion Williamson, you're absolutely right. That should be commended because he's doing his job. And no matter what, he's going out there and doing his job. He's not giving up, throwing his arms up in the air, and which he could easily do. But it's nice to see that not happen because more times than not in the NBA, it goes the other way. But is Embiid's playing too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're whole tonight,
Yeah.
the Sixers.
So again, I was traveling today. That's my excuse for appearing dumb, at least for today. And maybe I'll take more trips and then I'll build in an excuse. But you know,
let me ask Mr. Finn here real quick. The other night, Tone, we talked about the mismatch Joel Embiid would have against the Celtics, right? The team with nothing in the middle. But tonight it's Steven Adams. Does it make a difference or does it just not make a difference? I mean, I can't – this team got tongue-lashed, New Orleans, by their head coach. But I don't know that I see any great shakes defensively coming out of them here. What do you think?
Well, what Steven Adams has a tendency to – he's a physical guy. We all know he's a physical guy. He has no fear of bodying out. He really has no fear of anybody in the NBA. What I would see more of tonight is that laterally Steven Adams isn't nearly as quick as Embiid. And if Steven Adams decides he wants to get physical and face up with Embiid 15 or 20 feet from the basket, then Embiid's going to be dunking all day long. Or going to the foul line and if you send Embiid to the foul line, you might as well wave the white flag because it's not Will Chamberlain. He's going to hit he's going to hit a good percentage of it. He's an amazing kid. Like I said, I covered him when he was in college, and a completely different person or personality. When he was at KU, he was meek. And he didn't play meek necessarily, but he wasn't really, he hadn't been playing basketball that long, guys. This is a soccer player that decided he wanted to play basketball because I guess he didn't think he was going to get Messi's money in Europe. So he decided to get Chamberlain's money in the NBA.
It's true. I'm giving you a warning. I sent a link for the show to Steve Merrill, who asked if he could come on.
Yes.
So I don't know if we should plan something.
I think we should all just get to.
Real quick before Merrill gets here, John. The other night, I'm going to go back to what you said about Ben Simmons locking down Jason Tatum, right? Because Ben is that good defensively, and I just said that I figure Brandon Ingram will play tonight, but maybe Brandon Ingram looks at the matchup and says, oh, shit, Ben Simmons, I don't know that I want to step in this quick. Maybe I'll sit one more game because Brandon Ingram would be the guy that Ben Simmons would draw defensively, and that could be problematic for Brandon Ingram.
And I'll say, without Brandon Ingram, and I think he's a pretty important piece to New Orleans offense. And in truth, maybe even a little bit on the stop side of the ball. But as you said, Rob, this team really tried to adhere to what Mr. Van Gundy wanted to do early stages. If you look at their numbers early in the year where they were much more defensive, they were using much more of the clock, things that old school Van Gundy would I don't know. I don't take the newspaper anymore. We all need to call Stan and say, listen, Stan, it's as you said, it's no longer the NBA. This is the ABA.
Yeah. And that's true. Because, Tony, you know what? If I took this team apart player by player, I would say this to you. Eric Bledsoe is a pretty tenacious point guard from Kentucky. Built pretty big, should be able to play defense. Right? In fact, he's been known to play pretty good defense. Yeah. He's on this team. Lonzo Ball, when he came into the league out of UCLA, really defense preceded his offense in a lot of people's minds because the jump shot looked funny. It looks a lot better nowadays. I'll say that much. Zion, defensively, I'm not so sure, right? But Steven Adams, we know, a real good defender. They've got guys that individually should be able to play, but it doesn't add up collectively because it's got to be in communication, in assignments, and just being in the wrong place at the wrong time because they shouldn't be this bad. They really shouldn't.
The physics of scoring 140 points and playing defense too. The math, it's hard. It's difficult equate. It's difficult to put that, as you described, to put those things together, simply because of energy and just being a human and the flaws we have. And it's tough to be to give 100% on the offensive side and the defensive side of the ball. I don't care what you say. There's a reason why teams are more defensive than they are offensive. It's just it's never worked. Name me one team that led the league in points scored and was a top 10 defensive team. It's rare. It's very rare.
Very rare.
Maybe somebody will. Somebody will say, Tony, I got it for you. But Van Gundy's old school, guys. He's old school. And
yeah, you're right. You need to change with the times.
Yeah.
You
know when the ABA came into existence, guys? Do you know when they came into existence?
1968.
67. Same year I've been telling you about the Big Mac and the ABA. It's a good summer.
Yeah, I guess the merger in 76 was, well, I guess the merger happened between 76 and 77, but I guess that it really set the NBA.
And I know we're getting off topic, but you have to know this. In 1967, every kid in my neighborhood, there was the one thing we wanted, but of course, none of us, we were all one parent income families, and we were rich. We had everything we needed, but parents didn't. I wanted the damn red, white, and blue. We all wanted the red, white, and blue basketball. We wanted that basketball bad. But no,
it had a little extra bounce to it.
No, it's slick. It was, but that's what we were, 7 and 8 year olds. We wanted that basketball, man. We didn't care about the Chuck. We didn't care about Chuck Taylors, and that's the equivalent. Those were the equivalent of Jordans then.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I got a question for actually both of you, but Rob first. And this may not happen. It might be just off the reservation right now with the Sixers' defensive idea. But is there another defensive player, and I have a name in mind, I want to see if you say the same thing, on the Sixers that could be guarding Ingram, allowing Simmons to guard anyone else on the floor, including Zion Williamson, when Embiid's not on the floor? Or maybe when he's on the floor. I wouldn't be shocking to me to see that happen, because I think Simmons is a better defensive player than Embiid. Whether he is against Zion Williamson, I don't know. It'd be an interesting experiment to see for 5 minutes in tonight's game.
Well, I would say it's definitely not Seth Curry or not Danny Green.
No, it's Matisse Thybulle for sure. It's Matisse Thybulle.
I would say Thybulle too, but then you would have to say, hey, Danny, and get the hell out of the game, and in comes Thybulle. At least I believe isn't that the rotation typically?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
that's exactly right.
Number 2 small forward, right? Green comes out, Thybulle comes in, and they're basically Thybulle's a younger version of Danny Green. 10 years ago, Danny Green was Matisse Thybulle. 3-point shooting and defense. Some of those things have worn on Danny Green. Still veteran leadership, but he's not the same player he was, when he was younger. But Matisse Thybulle is, I've said it before, John, he could start on about 10, 12 teams across the NBA and he's just a headache for an offensive player. When he comes in the game, he's a headache. He's Pat Beverly hounding without Pat Beverly's mouth. You know what I mean? He's a great player, and he would match up well. I mean, Thybulle, he'd give up a couple inches to Ingram. I think Ingram's about 6'9", maybe, and Thybulle 6'7", 6'6", 6'7", but he's so long and just so quick. So, Philly, they've got those options all the time. I mean, it's crazy how good they can be defensively.
Again. And he's usually going against the second unit, too.
If we could just get Ben to live in the gym for all winter or no, all summer, I don't know, whenever he can, and shoots basketball 500 times a day, this team would be they're tough to beat now, but I think would be it'd be great to see. We'll see. Again, you don't just make changes like that unless you have that have it inside you and you want to do it more than me or you telling you can be a better golfer if you do this. Unless you want to be a better golfer, you're just not going to be. So, not at that level, right?
No.
Well,
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Not at that level.
Yeah.
So we like Philly. We like Philly. How can you like?
I think we like Philly.
I can't like. I said it on the show today. There was the contrarian play on the NBA show.
How could it be a contrarian play?
Well, it was a contrarian play because of the way Philly had it moved. Philly's not the contrarian play. New Orleans was a contrarian play.
I got you.
The line movement. Yeah.
I got it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's coming down. I guess that's because Ingram's probably going to play. Is my
Right.
guess. I haven't researched anything, so I may say something completely not smart. But
Well, it's okay.
Yeah.
Guess what?
We'll know
I don't
for
care.
sure in about 9 minutes.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
close to that. Hey, real quick, stay in Philadelphia, but what a pitching match tonight, right? Tone, Zach Wheeler has to be, why the Mets gave up on him to begin with. I never understood. Philadelphia stole when they got Zach Wheeler, and that 99-mile-an-hour fastball was in full force the other
Yeah.
day. Him and Charlie Morton went at it toe to toe. Charlie Morton caved a little bit
Yes, he
in
did.
1 inning. But they rematched tonight, and that should be a terrific baseball game. I don't have a side. Obviously, the total was bet really hard, right? 8.5 down to 7.5 in some
Yeah.
outlets now.
I would say this. I don't like that move in the total. I first off, neither one of these. I think both of these pitchers get a tad bit too much love. There's some polls in both these guys' games, and the increase in velocity in Wheeler, for instance, has worked. But it's according to the analytics, it straightened his ball out a little bit too, and his fastball out, his two seamer. And typically what happens is in division play like this, the opposition eventually kind of catches up to that a little bit, and you start having some tells when you make changes and you increase your velocity. There are some tells that these guys are experts at that stuff. They're professional hitters. It's what they do. And the pitcher makes one little change, and they go from being elite to being a bum.
average. Yeah. I'm bringing up Wheeler's, the FX stats here just to prove, add more proof to your point, because that is so true. Because you're better off throwing 92.
It's a good indicator.
Movement.
That first, the numbers are really a good indicator that Wheeler's, can you stay healthy? Anybody that's been on this New York Mets team at any point in their careers has a virus of some kind, because none of them can stay healthy.
Well, that core that came up together, right? DeGrom is the only one who made it through, right? Because Harvey turned into garbage, and Steven Matz. Zach Wheeler was hurt for a couple of years, now pitching better than Matz or Harvey. But Tone, real quick, just Phillies philosophy handicapping with the Phillies and the trio at the back end of the bullpen: Neris, Alvarado, Archie Bradley. Are you strictly Philly first 5-inning guy, or do you have any ambition to bet Philly full game now that they got a little bit better bullpen?
Oh, I'm willing to. I have no problem at all supporting Philadelphia. I have a tendency, and this is my feeling. Well, statistically, it proves out too. This core of guys played much. If you look at their numbers, they're much better in Philly too, and their pitching staff, the way they pitch, I don't like them in this new park in Georgia, Atlanta. It's not huge. It's not as fly ball friendly as some parks. However, the velocity, the pitchers, Nola, he got bombed a couple times last year in Atlanta. I mean, absolutely just crushed because some of his tendencies, and that happens in divisional games. I like Philly. In fact, whoever stays healthiest in that NL East, Katie bar the door.
I agree.
If you can get through that NL East and make it to the playoffs healthy, then you're battle tested. You're battle tested and grizzled and ready to go. That's what.
Yep, I agree.
My opinion. Better than the Nats too. I don't like the Nats. I don't like what they're doing. I don't know. I can't give any police evidence, but I just don't like what's going on with that staff. I don't, and I don't know why, but they seem to when you got pitching like that, supposedly you can survive. I think pitching now just takes you only so far. It's much like the NFL. Defense is icing. Pitching can only take you so far in the environment we live in Major League Baseball, where you don't miss bats. Then we'll see in AA or AAA.
Then better for better for Atlanta offensively, right? Because the guys who like that new park are Ronald Acuna, Freddie
That's
Freeman,
oh yeah,
Albies,
oh yeah,
Marcelo Zuna. We love
Yes.
this ballpark. How about, Tone? How about if that little Michael Conforto lean-in yesterday winds up winning the division for the Mets?
well, you know, why did you? It's so weird that you said that because
Kulpa apologized. Kulpa said he got it wrong.
yeah, well, I don't know why he was so adamant about it, but I'm not a big Culpa fan anyway, but we were here watching it. Las Vegas Chris was here, and he said to me, he goes, "That is going to be the difference in my season total with this team. I know it's going to."
I'm telling you.
I said, we're in week 2. He said, "No, I know it's going to be the difference." And it's funny you just said that. See,
mark it down. Who knows? But yeah, that was terrible. That was terrible. And it's funny, Tone, because when we were watching it on the replay, when we're on the tip-off show, or we were actually done with tip-off, we were hanging around talking, and I didn't notice at first that Kulpa actually goes to punch him out, strike 3, and then goes to his, forearm banging on it. But he was ready to call him out, and I think that's what Don Mattingly said. He's not disappointed other than the fact that if a ball is a strike, you shouldn't be able to get hit by a pitch if the ball's right down the middle and it's a called strike. But
so we were right though. That's a reviewable play, right? That you get hit. Was it not? What was Culpa's argument there?
Well, Major League Baseball says it's not reviewable.
So where's the caveat there that you can't getting a hit by batsman is a reviewable play? At least it was last 2 years. Is it not now? Or
there was something I saw called 801C or something. I forget what the rule number was, but they posted it on television this morning, like we would post the John Ryan angle on the NBA tip-off show.
Then I wouldn't understand it. I
think I understood that MLB was saying not reviewable, but they should go to review. They should learn a lesson here and make that reviewable. I mean, my goodness, you can't give a team a game for free like that. That was terrible. Conforto, of course, says, "Well, I thought it was a slider and it was, going to maybe tail back." So, come on, Conforto, come on.
Who was pitching?
That's a good question. I don't know which relief pitcher it was.
Was it a lefty?
I'll tell you in a second.
Because if it was a lefty, then Conforto couldn't possibly say, "Well, I thought it was a slider, a reverse slider."
Yeah, right.
What is a reverse slider? A backup slider? You throw a backup slider, and I got to play. Every team's got a place for you.
No, the pitcher was a righty, Anthony Bass.
Okay, then I'll buy. But I just for some reason in my head that I thought maybe they had a matchup.
Yeah, we have to have another physics discussion on this show.
I think that's called a screwball.
Well, that's correct. But
Carl
that's a slider. I'm not going to mistake a screwball for a slider, and I'm not a professional baseball hitter. At least I don't think so. I guess if it's 100 miles an hour, I'm just going to duck and dive and juke and get the hell out of the way. Uh-oh.
Yeah, it was.
By the way,
it was. Oh boy, what can we put Steve's money on tonight? Anybody got something we could bet Steve's money on?
I'm going to put it on whatever team is fading Tony Finn's slider. I'll be on the other team and on the over.
Yeah, it's my backup slider.
Your backup slider.
I'm taking Webb Simpson and Cam Smith.
Oh.
And they're not NASCAR drivers.
I told Gabe
Just
that
kidding,
I can shoot 9 under where they got these pins placed at Augusta.
I know Bart Simpson.
Are you serious?
Oh, 9 under. But 9 under refers to how many sheets to the wind I am when they escort me off the Augusta National Course.
There you go.
I always get confused sometimes.
Huh? There's Vegas Chris.
Is Van Gundy as tall as Justin Rose?
How tall is Justin Rose?
Because then, like 6'3".
Van Gundy.
You missed it, Steve. We were talking about Van Gundy and his monotone. My defense sucks. My defense stinks. My defense stinks. My defense stinks. And we were kind of making fun of him. We actually renamed him.
Yes, we did.
We renamed
Justin
him.
Rose?
No, not Justin Rose. The other short guy.
Danny DeVito.
Oh, yes. DV.
Danny DeVito might be taller. Might be.
So, yes, we are all over the Sixers tonight, Steve.
Yeah, I'm with them as well. Is my connection good, by the way? Because I just tested my speed.
Yeah.
Do I sound okay?
Yeah.
Okay, because I was getting a little choppy there.
You're a little digital,
I like the
but
Sixers.
that's okay.
Yeah, you guys are all I'm going to actually reset. I'll be right on. Let me reset here because I'm going to reset my connection.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jump right.
Okay, we can start talking about Steve again now. Everybody can.
Yeah. How much money do we have to bet? That's his.
Oh, I don't even know what money
that means
we
a
have.
lot.
I have better things to spend
Marco
on.
gave me Marco D'Angelo gave me some great information on that show in the Arkansas Derby. And seriously, people who want to learn about horses, man alive, I learned more in that show than you can.
I know
imagine.
a little bit about Arkansas Derby. I know a little bit about Exarban. I mean, Oaklawn. You know, I know it's a crooked. I know that there's a few trainers on there that if you get the information from them, it is gold because, unlike dogs, a horse can't win unless you get a jockey on his back, and like anything, like an umpire in baseball, they have some influence over the game.
Some.
Until last year, when we were allowed to, I mean, I probably spend a couple Saturdays of summer at Delaware Park, John. Delaware Park's just a beautiful piece of property, racetrack.
You guys have a lot of good
I like the
tracks out
horses.
there.
I just don't have time. I've always said, God love the guys who handicap horse racing for a living because you've got tracks scattered across the country. You've got 10 races a day. You've got 8 horses a race, 80 horses a track, times 30 tracks, 2,400 horses. I got no time to handicap that. Those guys deserve a lot of credit. I mean, I'm sure they focus in on 1 or 2 tracks. I know that, as a matter of fact, I think that during the coronavirus period, Ski Profit was actually doing Gulfstream in Florida. I think Ski has a little bit of insight into horses down there, but that's a tough racket, guys. That's as tough as it gets.
Dogs, stick to the dogs. Stick to the dogs.
I always bet underdogs. Love them.
Tone, I was there. I had never seen dog races in my life. My brother-in-law has a place in Naples, Florida. My wife and I are down there. There's a dog track in Fort Myers. And I said, you know what? We're driving to Fort Myers, about 35 minutes. We got to go watch these dog races. And I'll tell you what, it was worth every penny to go there and spend the afternoon.
I've told you, didn't I share some stories with you?
Not yet.
Living with the guy for a while. The dog had 400 greyhounds on his property. And
wow.
That's a
lot of dog food.
That was an entertaining and an enlightening period of my life, like most have been. I seem to run into these things. I don't know how it happens, but I run into these things, and it just,
I couldn't remember 400 names for the dogs.
Well, I don't. Yeah, well, I can't remember. I can't remember my kids' names. I only got 4 of them at that, so I don't.
Yeah, when I get out there in the fall and we have a drink, Tone, I will. You give me those dog stories that I told you the other day. I'll share with you the highlight stories because there is.
Rob, that's where I was going to transition it because I was just telling someone last week this story. I went to the Hall of Fame in Springfield, Massachusetts years ago when I was actually like a high school kid. And then we were staying, and my sister played select soccer, so we traveled a lot. They had a tournament in Springfield. My dad and I then went down to Hartford Highlight that same weekend. And it's funny because I was visiting a friend a little bit later in the early 90s in Miami, and I saw Miami Highlight. So I saw Highlight in 2 of the 3 states that have it, Rhode Island being the other randomly. And I've come to learn it's a great sport to bet on. It's action-packed. It's like horse racing on steroids, like result. I came to find out it's corrupt as hell, apparently. These guys are in the back office making deals and who's going to drop the pelota from their cesta on which round. But I'll never forget, I got the program, and there's like 50 names on it. And there's an asterisk next to like 7 of them. And I look down at the bottom, it says denotes American citizen or something like that. And this is in the early 90s. But it's a hell of a sport to watch. You can watch it without betting on it. It's very exciting and entertaining. But
I thought you were going to tell us. I thought he was going to say the asterisks were people who have previously been convicted of insider trading.
Yeah, well, that's very likely as well.
Hey, Tony, I don't know how many years you've lived in Las Vegas, but they had Highlight in the MGM Hotel or Bally's Hotel in the early 80s before the fire. And
I got married there.
Wow.
That was quite. Did you really?
Well, no, I stayed there. No, yeah, somewhere, something like that. We got some. I don't remember now. It's been 20,000 years ago. But I worked here for 25 years. But I always stayed. They put me up. I stayed in here across from. I stayed at Harrah's, and I hung out at that time. The biggest number you could put 5,000 on a game, never be questioned at that point in time across the street there, and no one else was taking. Still, it's even less now. You know, you have to be you have to get. I had a client here that was pretty much a free. He could roll and play what he wanted to, but he'd get drunk and he would lose everything. They just let him play whatever the hell he wants. You know, so. They had no problem. He could win. They knew he was giving it back.
Rob, you know the owner of the Philadelphia Eagles back in the day traveled to Atlantic City and did the same thing.
Loria.
And lost the franchise because of it.
Yeah.
And
Guess who
actually
paid his way? Who paid his way when he was down and out and before he passed?
Jaromir Jagr.
No, but that's close. I think Jaromir Jagr would coach
I've
football.
heard stories about him at the Atlantic City casinos.
Like this guy
Jagr.
coached football.
Yeah.
No defense. After that, he was coaching
trying to
St.
follow
Louis.
this
He was
one.
coaching the Rams before he went to Kansas City, and that's the man that was
Dick
taking
Vermeer?
care.
Vermeil. I assume you mean Vermeil. Oh, yeah, Eagle coach Vermeil.
no,
Yeah.
Vermeil was the one that helped him out.
He paid for everything.
For real. Wow.
Everything.
I don't think Vermeil was
Is
a
it-
gambler, though. Vermeil was pretty kind of straight and narrow.
Yeah, no, he only gambled by not playing defense. That was the only
Right.
gamble he ever. Yeah, and hiring some really bad defensive coordinators too. Well, I shouldn't say. You know, they won their share of games, but that's another story.
Yeah.
Dick Vermeil was a good man. He was a really good man.
Well, with the time we have left.
Yeah, look,
and,
we talked about any
let's
games.
pick, how about? Yeah, we picked a couple good games. You know, we had to bet on Rocky in the Greyhound race down at West Palm tomorrow. We got
Squirrel?
Well, we mentioned the Arkansas Derby with the.
Rocky the Squirrel.
I wish I could remember what Marco's exact suggestion was, and I'm not saying that because they can't
the
watch
horse?
the show, but
The horse.
he gave out a exacta and trifecta,
Well,
and I'm so smart I can't remember either one of them.
with your 500,000 viewers on the show, if you give that out, he's gonna be pissed. You gotta make sure
John,
he gets his bet in first.
Well, wait,
I was late-
but
I was
he
late
said it.
coming
He said
because,
it on the show.
Oh,
he
he
said it
did?
live on the show.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
he must already have his bet in because unlike just like any sport, the more money that comes in on that, the worse your number gets.
Yeah, and that's why I can't get into horse racing long term is because not only is it a daily grind, but the whole key to winning in sports betting is locking in the right numbers, and you can't do that with horses. That's always killed me.
Well,
So it's just that pari-mutuel thing is tough to
not
swallow.
unless it's a horse that plays highlight. And we have every.
And has an
Listen, you
asterisk
can lock
next to
into
his
numbers
name.
in highlight. Let me tell you.
You can definitely.
You
You
can
have to be able
lock
to
into numbers.
translate the whatever Spanish they're speaking in the back rooms about who's dropping the pelota and the cesta in the next round.
I bet
You
they
know,
all got their vaccine
telling
shots.
these guys. I was telling these guys the other day. A very close friend of mine from my hometown has made the roster again in South Florida. In Cal, he's 59 years old, still playing professional highlight. I played a little bit with him as a kid,
Jeez.
and on amateur courts. But he's 59 and made the roster
59?
again. I'd love to get down there and see him. Hey, real quick, let me ask everybody this.
Right.
The Milwaukee Bucks, according to the 5:30 injury report right now, the Milwaukee Bucks' entire starting lineup is out of this game. The line's gone from 5 down to 2.5. 2.5 point move on 5 starters out. No Giannis, no DiVincenzo, no Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton
peculiar.
doubtful, Brooke Lopez doubtful. All 5
Okay.
starters basically out.
Rob, since
Yeah.
Sounds like a mutiny.
go ahead and put 50 Sawbucks on the game and right now and we'll have a
Well,
party.
I'm thinking because of his theory, and I want to put Steve Merrill's money on the Bucks.
Well, guess
Because
what?
they
Yeah,
have no starters, but the line isn't moving anywhere, so I guess you got to play the Bucks.
if you're an
Well,
injury chaser this year, You're a loser.
Oh, no question.
Yeah.
Well, we talked to Tony and I did the NBA show a couple hours ago on Wager Talk TV, and I believe Kevin Dolan used his best bet, right, Tony? Because it wasn't you, so it was Kevin used his best bet.
I don't think.
But he said Giannis was already out at -5. So Rob, it's really the other 4 guys that have moved it a couple points because it's probably already 4 points low with Giannis out. So it's maybe an 8 or 9 point move now. I mean, maybe an 8 or 9 point move, but. Yeah. Tony, you're right, man. I'll tell you, it's been bizarro world with just basically play the opposite side that makes sense with these injuries, and it's just been cashing. And it's not even
Charlotte
close.
is actually favored.
Right.
Charlotte is actually
moved to a favorite now
at the Westgate, -1.
So we're seeing movement.
Are you getting that injury report from?
Yeah, I'm seeing that too, John. On Wager Talk Odds has a -1, the Westgate, and Circa +1. So I'm assuming those are probably more accurate.
Yeah. That's amazing.
I mean, what's Pinnacle showing, John?
Pinnacle, I'm not seeing an update on. I'm going to check them direct.
Let's see.
Bookmakers
Pinnacle,
down to
here we
1.
are.
Bookmakers moved to 1. But 1 Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Pinnacle's still not updated. It's -5.
Yeah, it's not updated. I'm going to look at the live site, but yeah, it's going to be around a pick 'em, it looks like. So, and you're talking about what was Giannis worth, maybe 3 to 4 points already. So the line would have been 8.5, 9. So it's really about an 8 to 9 point move, probably, when all is said and done. But it is remarkable that 5 backups can be a pick 'em to slight favorite against any NBA team. Just insane.
Yeah,
other than OKC
team in the league, but.
And Rob, I take that with a grain of salt too, because I think that angle works better when it's a crap team. It's still the Milwaukee Bucks, who anybody likes to throttle whenever possible because they're a big name defending champs and whatnot from a couple years ago. So I know, what do I know? But I mean, it seems to me like the Charlotte would be the play in that game. But it's still
they're on back to back. So just going off of who played last night, guys, it would be starting for Milwaukee: Bobby Portis, Pat Connaughton, Giannis's little brother, I won't even attempt to try the first name, Bryn Forbes, and Jeff Teague. Those 5, Jeff Teague and Bryn Forbes, if you stand them on top of one another, they're, I don't know, 7 foot. Portis will probably play center. Connaughton, small forward. And then they've got 2 reserves. You know who else is a reserve on this team? S. Merrill. Steve Merrill, you're coming in tonight, buddy. The kid from Utah State.
Oh, that's a sure sign of desperation.
But I believe that's 2 R's, right? 2 L's. 2 L's, I believe.
Oh, 2 L's. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's usually always 2 L's.
I take it back.
I tell you what. I mean, I know Charlotte's not the healthiest team, but that's crazy.
Did Milwaukee call anybody up?
Well, there's
a couple of stray names on here that are going to.
Yeah, I mean.
Right?
Yeah, and Rob, too, they just lost by 30 as a 9.5 point dog to Boston in a similar situation 2 games ago. So they didn't exactly step up without players in that one. They were a 7-point dog to Phoenix at home and lost outright by 4. They did cover. But, yeah, I like Charlotte, and I'm sorry, I'm looking at Charlotte's numbers. Never mind. I'm looking at the wrong damn screen. I pulled a Tony Finn right there. How do you like that? My edible is kicking in earlier than I thought.
Which mistake was that?
Be thankful Teddy's not on. Yeah, Teddy to straighten you right out in a second.
Here's the funny thing.
You could tell I wasn't involved in this game because I hadn't handicapped it at all. And I was looking at the wrong stat. I was like, I don't remember them playing Boston and losing by 30. That must have been an injury game. But there we go.
That is so funny because the last time Teddy tried to correct me, I didn't correct him back when I knew he was incorrect. And later on, he called, or I think Lawrence called, and he happened to be in the room and said, he said, Tony, you got to correct me when I was wrong. I said, well, I didn't have my live odds up, so if I was going to correct you, it would have been, it would have been a blind shot. I've been closing my eyes. But didn't both of you guys look? It was what happened was Teddy read the wrong line. But I was so surprised that Teddy said about the total. I said, that's not possible. He said, it's right here, and he even read out what the last score of the last game was. But he's reading the wrong game, and and I always tell Teddy that's why he loves doing shows with me, because he knows he can give me a lot of trouble, and I'm not going to bite back at all. I just smile. So it's funny you said, but Teddy will correct you. He will throw you under the bus and smile at the same time, right, Teddy?
That's right.
Did I just throw Teddy under the bus?
let me go the other direction in that game with you guys, because I know, Steve, oftentimes on the NBA tip-off show, I've said it. I know you've said it as well. You get these games that could just be roll out the balls. This total has gone from 225.5 down to 217.5. Charlotte, Milwaukee, 8-point move on the total. What do you guys think? Does it become playground style, and does it become 217 means 109 aside, even though there's a lot of subs on the Milwaukee team? I don't know how much defense could be played there in that game.
Yeah. And you look at Charlotte, I mean, I am looking at the correct stats here. They've 3 of their last 6 games, they've shot 40% or worse. But then again, like you said, it's hard to imagine the Milwaukee backups are going to come play defense. Plus, don't you think if you get to play, don't you want to just score the hell out of the ball? You don't care about shutting down the other team. I mean,
I agree. That's the way
I think these guys can all score in their sleep. You guys have heard me say that before. I mean, it's not a question if these guys can score in the NBA. It's if they bring intensity and focus. And why would a backup 5, knowing this is a write-off preseason game, basically? That drop seems like that's more of an overcorrection. That's probably where the value is now, is with the over.
Yeah, because you know whose eyes lit up with this injury report? Terry Rozier and Devontae Graham.
Yeah.
How about we go out and get 25 or 30 each? PJ Washington, Bridges. They don't have LaMelo and they don't have Malik Monk, and they've been banged up, that's for sure. But what they have left over, could get to 110 against this. How do you even translate defensive assignments when you don't even play together?
Rob, they've gone under in like 10 of their last 12. But look at those 3 games I mentioned where they shot 40% or worse in the last 6: Phoenix, Brooklyn, and Boston, like good teams. That's not Milwaukee tonight without any starters, So I think also you have to look at who they've played. Charlotte has put up points. They put up 114 against Indiana, 113 against Oklahoma City, and against Brooklyn and Boston, the other 2 games in that span, they scored 89 and 86. That's a huge divergence of like 30 points almost. I like the over. I think that makes sense. I mean, maybe even a Charlotte team total over, but the game over probably makes sense as well. Just don't try to guess who's going to score more.
And we all know I like the live in-game, so I'm already calculating, like 50% pre-flop over, and then 209, 209.5.
And see how it plays out. If they look god-awful offensively, you just don't get involved. I think in-game makes the most sense with a game like this. It just takes it's like getting to see a practice session for a little bit before you bet.
Yeah,
that's good.
Well,
guys, I'm gonna
into it.
Go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just saying it's time to wrap it up, because I don't know if Steve knows where I'm at, but I'm obviously not in my studio, but I am at Saw Grass. It's kind of like my little mecca down here, and I'm actually looking. And Tony and Rob are getting sick and tired of hearing it, but I'm looking at the 13th hole right now. And
could be worse.
Is there anybody playing?
I've seen groups go through. Yeah.
I would have my slingshot and golf balls there. So you're saying, go ahead and slingshot.
Rob's looking at a kid shoveling his driveway for the snow that's still up there, and I don't even want to know what Tony Finn sees out his back window. So.
We're doing okay weather-wise. We're not doing as good as John, but we're doing okay in Philly.
I'm thinking of trying to get over there to 17, which I've done in the past when you're not playing, and they don't really let you go. Throw you off the course because you're walking on the cart path. But I think it would be neat to do a TikTok from the 17th Island Green, and I could mention all your names.
Awesome,
beautiful.
That's the beauty of TikTok. It only takes a minute. You can get it in before you get thrown off. And my advice is I've been sneaking into hundreds of Redskin games in the 80s. We'd get into the VIP parking lot, my dad and I, which are only half full. You just play dumb until someone stops you, and then just play dumb. That's the key to getting the good seats at any sporting event when we're able to go back and watch games, is just play dumb. Keep going down lower until they stop you, and then play dumb. Act lost.
You got to walk like you've done it a million times.
That's true.
You've sat in that seat. And that's been your seat for 20 years, and you're right.
And then utterly confused when you're in the wrong seat and you can't find your ticket stub.
Yeah, that's never good either. But I guess Monday's going to be hard for me to do a show at 4:30 because the flight's at 5:38. But if I'll find out when we board, because I actually might be okay to do one from there just while I wait to get on the plane.
if they see Tony Finn on your phone or digital device recording this show as you board, that I don't know. I don't know all the TSA rules by heart like Rob Veno, but that has to break one of them.
I
do the show going through security with Tony Finn on your digital device. That's what I want Tony to go through the X-ray machine as we're recording live.
Well, he was talking about going to places where he can't be extradited before.
Exactly.
So.
It's the only. I'm not going farther than a mile from my house unless it's to an island where I cannot be extradited, and that's all there is to it.
I like it. I like that logic.
Yeah. I mean, you never know.
There was a guy in the chat room listing the countries that you could go to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Belize. I have some. Believe it or not, I have some friends in Belize that went down there in the 70s because they got caught selling marijuana, and I keep telling them, "Hey guys, it's legal now. You can come home." And they don't come.
It's safe to come home, and you can bet on.
They said, "Hell no, I'm not going home. I like it here."
That is funny.
Funny stuff.
John, have a good weekend down there, buddy.
Yeah, my man.
I definitely will. And for Tony Finn, Rob Veno, Steve Merrill, and myself, and the Predictive Playbook, may all the wins be yours.
Denver.
Believe in
Guy listening